Hello everyone, it's MeNoHaxor. In this video we're going to be doing a full game commentary and guide on Thresh. In this video in particular, I'm going to focus a lot more on teamfighting and roaming as Thresh, because Thresh isn't the strongest laner, especially in this meta when there's a lot of tank supports. And so a lot of times it's better to make picks in other lanes and to make picks in general for your team, so that way you guys can snowball leads and advantages into teamfight victories. So in the spotlight matchup we have Tristana Thresh versus Draven Galio. Galio's been pretty popular recently just because he provides a lot of CC, and because he runs Aftershock, he's a pretty tanky support. He also has a pretty okay amount of poke with his Q in lane, and so he just kind of has a pretty solid overall kit. And Draven is obviously a very strong laner, way stronger than Tristana. So in this lane matchup, I'm not really looking too much to go for all-ins because there's a very low chance we'll win the all-ins to begin with. So I'm really just gonna look to play somewhat safe. If I can land a free hook on Draven, sure, I might do that. But otherwise, I think I'll just play very patiently, wait for ganks from our jungler, and just try to play around my team and look for roams, because in all honesty, we're probably not going to get that much in the lane. As soon as we get to lane, after we give leashes to our junglers, they start pushing the lane pretty quickly because they didn't have to give a leash to their jungler. So we know Udyr started topside, and we also see him gank top. So we know we're pretty safe for the first couple levels, but we still can't really do much because they got the initial shove. So we have to kind of forfeit the lane for a bit and just kind of wait around, sit to the best of our abilities, and just wait until we get our level 2. Since we see Graves is pathing towards bot, I see there's a really good opportunity for us to make a play since he has red buff, and I know if we jump on them, we can get a kill. So I'm going to initiate this gank by flash flaying the Draven. He's going to get CC'd and get pummeled by the rest of my team. Then I land a follow-up hook on the Galio, and we're also going to secure a second kill on the Galio. Now what's really important in this gank is how I executed it. So let's go ahead and watch that once again. So when the gank first started, I went on the Draven because he's the easiest target to get since he's not as tanky as the Galio because of Galio's Aftershock. And then after we secure the kill on the Draven, I wait and don't use my hook on the Draven because I know he's already dead. So instead, I wait until I know I get a good opportunity to hook the Galio, and then we can secure 2 kills because of that. So a lot of times as Thresh, you want to really make sure you be really patient with your hook and not just throw it out whenever you can. A lot of times it's better to simply wait and see who else you can hook, and then use your hook on unsuspecting targets, because that way you can get a lot more out of team fights rather than only getting one single pick. And you're going to see that a lot throughout this game, so always keep that in mind, and we're going to see throughout this game what targets we can identify and go for hooks on. After we get a turret plating, we're just going to go ahead and recall. I think it's always really important to take a turret plating early as soon as you can, because it does provide a lot of extra gold. And as Thresh, since you generally take demolish, you can usually take turret platings pretty early if you keep rocking it as often as possible. I started walking back to lane, however Tristana got her recall stopped and she chooses to stay in lane, most likely because she wanted a BF sword. It's okay for AD carries to stay in lane, but I feel like in general, after you get kills in the bot lane, you should more often than not recall at the same time, because having alternate back timings makes things really awkward as the lane goes on. Because Tristana didn't back, she's a little bit chunked from the gank we did, so we're not really in a position where we can pressure them even harder, because even though I'm a little bit ahead of Galio in terms of gold, Tristana and Draven are just about even because Tristana did not go back and she's a little bit chunked. So that's okay. We're just gonna go ahead and keep playing relatively safe. Since I don't have my flash, it's really hard for me to look for a gank. I also don't have my Ignite anymore, so we're not really in a super good position to 2v2, but we can at least try to do our best to zone them from CS and apply a little bit of pressure when we know that we're going to be safe from ganks. I tried to go for a hook right there. Unfortunately, I missed, but what's really important to note is why I went for the hook right there. There were 2 reasons. One, we were level 4 and they were level 3. The second reason is because as soon as Draven throws his E, even though I might get CC'd by the Draven E, if I throw my Q first and channel the spell before I get CC'd, my Q will still go off. So there was still a pretty high chance I could have landed the Q on the Draven, so I decided to just go for it anyways. And I think that if I landed the hook, there was a pretty reasonable chance we could have gotten a really nice trade or even a kill. That's okay. It's always good to look through those small opportunities. And since we saw that Udyr is somewhere in our river, we're not really going to try to push up too far, since a gank could be coming in. So we're looking to play a little aggressive just to scare them off a little bit, we're not going to commit. As we're laning, it's always important to note my positioning because I'm always making sure I stay a little bit far away from Tristana, because if they jump on Tristana and she misses her jump or she gets CC'd or something like that, I can always throw a lantern to save her. If they go on me, I always have my Flay ready to counter the Galio, like that right there. So you see how the Galio tried to go in on me? So I was able to get my Aftershock proc and stop his knockup, and Tristana is able to retaliate back. However, the Twisted Fate just turns level 6 and ults bot, which is kind of annoying, but, you know, what can you do about that? That's a little bit unfortunate. I think if Tristana played that a little bit better, we probably could have gotten 1 or 2 kills there, but that's okay. After those kills, I looked to buy boots and a ruby crystal. I'm basically looking towards getting mobility boots as well as getting an early upgrade on my gold generation item. I think that especially on Thresh, it's really important to upgrade your gold generation item, whether you get coin or relic, as soon as possible, because it provides you a lot of vision and tankiness since you have to buy ruby crystal. And I think that the extra vision is really helpful when looking for picks mid game since you have extra wards to cover. And since Tristana recalled, I'm just gonna look to stay in lane, get a couple last hits, because I also want my level 6 as soon as possible. So I'm just gonna chill here. I don't think there's a huge point in roaming right now, just because my mid laner also recalled, so I can't really get anything done if I go mid. Here, I make a pretty important decision. I look to roam mid because I see Graves and Zoe is fighting right now. I also see Aurelia is slowly moving into collapse on the Sylas over here. The main reason why I also decided to do this is because we just shoved the wave, and so this is a really good opportunity because I know the bot lane can't immediately follow me right now. Since the Galio isn't 6 yet, it's a little hard for the Galio to ult mid and help out his team. I also know that Tristana is relatively safe as an AD carry because if Galio ever shows his windup to the knockup, Tristana should be able to jump out. I can trust her with that. So that's why I'm going to start running mid right now. As soon as the 3v starts coming in, I'm going to look to try to help out the Zoe as soon as possible because I see that they're all just going to collapse in on her. I see the Udyr flash, Zoe gets a nice cleanse, gonna lantern as well as throw a hook on the Udyr, and then we're just gonna start slowly cutting back right now. Now, I need to protect the Zoe as soon as possible because I know my team is following up right here. So I'm gonna choose to do a flash flay as soon as the Sylas dashes in, and I'm just gonna sacrifice myself and tank a lot of damage for my team. This is gonna buy enough time for the rest of my team to come in, and we're gonna go ahead and get quite a few kills here. Graves gets a nice cleanup over there. I'm doing my best to dodge the Sylas as much as possible. I throw my lantern, my ult, as well as chugging a potion, and that allows me to survive for a bit longer while the Aurelia cleans up Sylas. Graves is gonna chase the Galio away over here. Meanwhile, Zoe is gonna fight the Udyr and the Draven. She gets a kill on the Udyr, and then now we can go ahead and collapse on the Draven, which is pretty good for us. Now, I didn't see the Galio was still here, and he ends up taunting me and I die, but we do end up cleaning up the Galio, and then they also get another kill on Draven. So that was a pretty hectic fight right there. But it was really important that I got the initial roam first because it did allow me to save Zoe and buy a lot of time for my team. And the flash flay also bought my team a ton of time, and it was important that I'm willing to sacrifice myself and burn my flash early just to make sure that Zoe survives for as long as possible. Because as long as Zoe survives, we can get a lot of damage out and we can win the fight. And that was a 4v5 too because Tristana didn't join us at any point during the fight. So yeah, that was a pretty hectic fight, but once again, it was really important that I made sure to prioritize saving Zoe over everything else and then surviving to the best of my ability so that way my team can do their best to clean up the rest of the fight. Tristana gets caught here. I wish Tristana jumped towards me rather than run all the way around, but that's okay, you know, that happens. But since Tristana died, there isn't really a point in me staying bot, and as a support you should always look to roam in these kinds of opportunities because if your AD carry is dead, there isn't really a point in staying bot to begin with. Like, if I stay bot right now, I will most likely get dove by the Draven Galio, so I'd rather just go mid, maybe clear some vision, see what I can do, maybe look for a pick. I'm just hovering mid right now just in case Zoe gets counter ganked, but it looks like she's fine, so I'll start making way back bot since I see Tristana is also walking back bot right now. I throw a lantern just in case we want to scare them into a fight. I think it would have been okay to fight them under the turret right here, but Tristana doesn't choose to grab my lantern, which is kind of annoying, but that's okay. Now, I ward that bush and immediately back off because I was pretty sure they were hiding there. I have no idea why Tristana jumped in there, to be honest. But she did get kind of unlucky because Draven actually did crit her 2 times. The Draven does have an Infinity Edge, so it's pretty unlucky that there were 2 25% chances that happened on the Tristana, but I think it was still really dumb for Tristana to jump in, so that just kind of threw her lane a little bit, but that's okay. Once again, since Tristana's dead, I'm just looking to wait until she comes back, looking to go mid, but I see Galio intercepting my pink. I'm hoping the Graves would come here to help me out, but he doesn't really come in time. So Galio gets that pink clear for now. I'm just sweeping just in case Galio dropped a ward, and we see the Draven and Galio just recalled with the ward I place. So it's pretty safe for us to start pushing the lane. So we're just gonna go ahead and do so. And since Tristana spent a lot of time taking off the turret plating from before, we should be able to get this turret pretty easily. And Graves can just walk up here and accompany us just in case as well. So enemy bot lane should not be able to contest us in any way. And yep, we get a free first turret for free, which is really nice. I'm just going to help Tristana push the lane a little bit, and then we're just going to go ahead and recall. Now that we took first turret, I'm going to look to spread the pressure and lead elsewhere on the map. Tristana is not particularly strong, so I don't really see a point in staying with her, because I feel like if I stay with someone like Zoe or Graves on my team, we're going to get a lot more done. So I'm going to look to try to run towards mid top side. As I'm running towards mid topside, I first run to the river. I sweep to the area just to see if anyone's here, but I don't see anyone here. So this is a good opportunity for us to start walking up towards topside. Gonna clear this pink and this tri-bush, and now we see the Silas top, and honestly, we're just gonna dive him because it's 3v1 right now, and Graves is also walking up. So I'm walking past the turret, get a pretty easy flay into a hook. I actually do end up predicting his dash right there, and we're gonna go ahead and get a free kill. Now, let's actually look back at this gank executed once again. I first go for the really easy flay, and I throw my lantern. And I hook towards that direction because since I have my box down, it's really hard for the Silas to escape at that point. And so I might as well just try to predict this hook, because if I could just hook him normally, but if he somehow flashes or something like that, and I'm able to get his flash also, that would be really sick. And since he was already trapped inside my box, I don't think there was any way realistically he was going to get out, which is why I decided to go for the prediction play rather than just going for the safe play. It looked nicer, and I think that's something you should keep in mind in different situations as Thresh, where if the enemy champion has very few options to get out, and his only option is to maybe flash or dash away, you should look to try to predict it. Now, I'm looking to stay top with Tristana because I would like to try to get more turret damage up here, and I'm hoping that my team can handle the fight bot. However, it looks like my team is getting pretty destroyed in the bot lane skirmish, so I decide to recall right now. Before I recall, I do decide to put a couple wards in their jungle. I put one ward right here and one ward right here, which is really good coverage and very aggressive wards, because if the Udyr comes back to clear his Raptors or his golems, we are going to be able to see him, and that's going to be a lot of really useful information for my team. Now I'm running towards bot side, however, I now see that Tristana is somehow getting chased by the Silas and the Twisted Fate, so we unfortunately miss out on him. However, the Twisted Fate's running in a really bad direction, so I'm just going to walk up, get the free hook on the Silas, and we're going to be able to get the kill on him, and now we're going to go ahead and keep chasing the Twisted Fate as well. Galio comes in to help out, but I'm going to just go ahead and go for a stopwatch because I don't want to get gold carded by the Twisted Fate and get bursted down. We get a pretty good kill here, and we're just going to go ahead and recall and back up a little bit. Now let's talk a little bit about target selection right there. So when I was going up to hit the Twisted Fate and the Silas, I had two options, right? I could hook either one of them. The reason why I went for the Silas was because I saw that he was gonna take tower aggro, and so if I kept the focus on the Silas, he was gonna take a couple more turret shots, and that was gonna be a much easier kill than the Twisted Fate. So that's why I went for the Silas there instead of Twisted Fate, even though the Twisted Fate was technically closer. Now I'm gonna look to start to move my vision up a little bit more aggressively. I want to get control of that bush, so I place a pink there, as well as place some more wards around the river, so that way we have complete mid coverage. Now I'm just going to look to use my E in the middle of the wave just so I can get it lower for Aurelia to clear it up. And now we can go ahead and start moving our vision and getting more control of the river together. Place another ward over the wall right here, and I start sweeping the area just in case. However, we do see the Udyr sitting mid, so we're going to look to try to make a play on the Udyr here. I go for a flash play into a hook. Unfortunately, the Aurelia does miss all her spells here, and I'm really hoping we can get the kill on the Udyr, but the Udyr actually ends up just walking away because Graves didn't ult there, which is kind of surprising. I think he got a little greedy with that. So that was, I feel, a pretty unnecessary death because I think if we just killed the Udyr immediately, it would have been fine, but I think that a lot of people on my team held on to their spells, including myself. I should have used my ult a little bit sooner, but once again, I don't think anyone expected Udyr just to be able to walk out like that. So that was a little bit bad on all our parts, but because the jungler died, we are able to get the dragon, and now we can go ahead and start looking for more pressure elsewhere. Now, I'm looking to build Knight's Vow first. I like building Knight's Vow first on Thresh because I like the armor and HP that it gives, which are really nice stats to have on him. And I also really enjoy having the ability to make someone on my team tankier, because there's generally always going to be one person on your team that's doing reasonably well, and giving them an extra bit of tankiness is really nice to help out in team fights. In this game, I don't think it's going to be Tristana, even though usually it's the AD carry. I think it's most likely going to be Zoe. She's doing really well, so I'm going to look to use my Knight's Vow on the Zoe, and then stay pretty close to her so that way she can keep looking for very aggressive bubbles. Now, we do see the Udyr was in our jungle, so I'm going to look to walk down to help collapse. Note that since I see my team walking left, I'm going to go right to help cover all the possible options that Udyr has, and we are going to get a pick on him. Note that what I did there to get an assist was that I threw my lantern on the Graves. I did this because since my lantern will give a shield on the Graves, giving a shield to an ally that was in combat for a kill will also give you an assist. And now I wait for Galio to use his dash and I get a really easy hook on him. And now we're going to get a free kill, and now we can keep on grouping since we can just keep on picking them off one by one. We're just going to go ahead and tank the turret. I get a demolish proc off, and now we're just going to look to keep on looking for more picks. Zoe gets a really nice bubble here, so I'm just going to time my hook right until the sleepiness ends, and we get another pick on Sylas, and now we're just going to keep on grouping as 5 and continuing to push together. This is really good for us. This is how we really want to play our team comp. We just want to look for picks and group up and then just keep on picking them off one by one. I go for a pretty aggressive hook right here. I do miss. It was a little hard because Udyr ran back into the wave, but I did zone them long enough to where we get another free turret. And now we can look to keep on fighting. We don't get another pick, unfortunately, but that's okay. Let's just go ahead and back off because we used most of our spells, and it's better for us just to spend our lead that we just made and just regroup elsewhere. Before we leave, I do drop some more wards in their jungle in preparation for Baron. Put one ward here and one ward here, as well as one ward in the middle of the lane, which is really nice. I do especially like this ward because it does help you see the entrances to both their jungles after they clear mid, which I really like a lot because it helps you make a lot of decisions when it comes to mid game, when it comes to objectives. In terms of items, I'm now looking to build towards a Redemption next. I think Redemption's nice because it's a pretty good team fighting item. Having Redemption will help keep teammates alive. Just kind of useful overall to have. It's very versatile. You can use it for a lot of different situations like checking Baron. You know, you can help people that are split pushing. It's very nice overall. Now that we spent our money, we're just going to look to group again. I'm just going to push forward mid because I see that Zoe's looking for a pick right here. We see Draven's really out of position, so I'm going to look to walk up, get a hook, and I get the hook on Draven. He QSS's out of it. Twisted Fate also has to flash out. So that was a pretty good aggressive plan on our part. We burned a lot of summoner spells on their end. And however, we did have to use a rally TP, but that's not too bad. We are grouped up now, so we can just keep looking for more picks. I see the Udyr get slept, and now I go for a flay on him. However, I change my targets and go for a hook on the Twisted Fate instead, and we're going to get a second pick on him, and that's going to lead us to the Baron. Once again, it's really important to remember that as Thresh, when your team has already secured a kill, it's really important to look for other potential opportunities to get another kill. In this case, I knew the Udyr was definitely going to be dead because my team is already going to collapse on him. I saw Twisted Fate was walking up to try to throw a card out, so I know that he's not going to suspect me throwing a hook, and if I can get the hook on him, that can for sure secure us a Baron, because not having a Twisted Fate thread is going to be super helpful since they can't really check Baron at all and they can't really poke us out as well either. So as we're grouping up towards Baron, I'm just going to clear that blast cone, get some more vision in their jungle. I put one ward over here just in case someone on the enemy team tries to do something sneaky with the steal, like maybe the Sylas. But that should be enough coverage for us. And with my pink in the Baron pit, I know that they don't have vision, they don't have Twisted Fate, and now that's going to be a free Baron. And that all started from that really nice bubble from the Zoe, and also the follow-up hook I got on the unsuspecting Twisted Fate. And that's really, once again, just coming down to target picking. I know that the Udyr is not going to be a threat anymore since he's definitely going to die, So I'd rather just use my CC and look for picks elsewhere. And that's something you always have to keep in mind as Thresh, constantly. Now that we have Baron, we're just going to look to take the dragon for free. And then we're just going to group up once again. Mid is pretty easy to go to just because it's the easiest place to siege. Once we group up as 5, it's really hard for them to fight us. And now we can just stay mid and look to fight together. And once again, I'm just going to wait for Zoe to land a bubble, or I'm just going to look for a pick on my own. Now, as we're sieging this tower, I'm always standing towards the back, and I'm going to just duck over the wall very slowly just in case I want to look for a hook if they don't suspect me, because sometimes the enemies are going to be very focused on Tristana on the left, so I can always land a hook like right here on the get one on the Twisted Fate, and I get another free pick right there. Now I'm going to land another hook on the Silas right there, and now I'm going to go in here because I want to start the fight since Twisted Fate already died. And with that pick on the Silas, my team is going to jump in, and we're just going to clean up the rest of the fight. And another hook on the Galio, and that's an ace, and that's pretty much the game right there. So going back to the start of the siege, it's also worth noting how I put my wards. I put one pink ward over the wall right here because it pretty much gives me guaranteed knowledge that I know I can't be seen if I try to go for hooks right here. And since I have one ward over the wall right here, I can pretty much see the entire point of view from the enemy turret up until this bottom right side. And so I have pretty open knowledge on going for hooks right here. Now I could have gone for a hook on Udyr, but I didn't really want to go for the hook on Udyr because he's a little bit too far to the right and it's kind of hard for my team to follow up with me. So I'd rather just go for the hook on Twisted Fate because he's a lot closer to the turret, and I don't think he would suspect me because he's probably a lot more focused on the Tristana right there. So that's why I go for the Twisted Fate, and the target selection worked out immensely. And now this other hook right here was a pretty narrow hook, but I was able to land it pretty easily. And with those two picks right there, that is going to open the game wide up for us, and that's going to be game for us. So overall, that was a pretty solid game of Thresh. I didn't really need to play the bodyguard in this case. In general, I would say most Threshes in solo queue tend to just play a lot more appealing and a lot more passively. But in this game, I felt like I could be a lot more aggressive because I had a Zoe who can look for picks, and I felt like I had a good team that can follow up with me with damage if we did happen to CC someone. So my target selection was super important this game. I think that if I didn't properly select all the targets in every single fight, we definitely would not have been able to get as many kills and as many objectives and as much snowballing pressure as we could have throughout this whole game. So always remember to look for opportunities to pick off other targets that are unsuspecting as Thresh, and even just as other support champions in general, and that should be able to help you snowball your games and help you win more games in general. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next video.